السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه، أما بعد. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وتقبلا وإخلاصا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم آمين. To proceed, we hope and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us all His mercy and His forgiveness, and that He grants us the ability to maintain a balanced lifestyle, whether in poverty or in wealth, and that He allows us to be among those who always tread the middle path in everything that they do. Allahumma ameen. To proceed, inshaAllah ta'ala, today I wanted to focus, inshaAllah ta'ala, on a very important topic, which is the topic of maintaining positivity, inshaAllah ta'ala. And we will do so by mentioning some examples of how the Prophet ﷺ maintained positivity during his lifetime, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Obviously, many of us know the story of At-Ta'if. So this is where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the incident of At-Ta'if, this is just to give some background. This is right after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his uncle passed away, and his wife Khadija radiallahu anha also passed away. So he was experiencing a lot of sadness in his lifetime, and because of the death of his uncle Abu Talib, the da'wah in Mecca was extremely difficult at the time, so he had to leave. So he goes to At-Ta'if. And he goes to At-Ta'if, and of course he experiences what he experienced over there. The people ridiculed him, they mocked him, they made fun of him, they sent the kids and those who were very foolish among the society, and they threw stones and other things at him until he was bleeding from his legs, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Till he left, he was in a complete daze because of the betrayal that happened, because of the mockery, etc. And he says, he only woke up from that kind of state of daze and shock and all of these other things fi qarn al-tha'alib. Qarn al-tha'alib, of course, is currently, it's the miqat for the people of Najd when they want to go on Hajj or on Umrah. So Qarn al-Tha'alib, over there, it's kind of like this valley in between the mountains. It's kind of like a canyon almost, actually. So he was in Qarn al-Tha'alib, and of course he says there was like a cloud, and the angels descend, and Jibreel comes down, and he introduces the angel of the mountains. We all know the very famous story. Now think about the mindset. He just got ridiculed, he got mocked, he got, dealt with in such a horrible way. Any one of us, if we were not in that positive mentality, meaning having a positive outlook, we would have immediately descended into taking revenge against these people who did what they did against us, right? Yet the Prophet ﷺ did not do that. In fact, he said, no, do not, you know what I mean? And Jibreel, and the interesting thing is that Jibreel obviously does not come down unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows him to. Which means that if Allah allowed him this, if Allah gave it to him this, he would be in every right to destroy them if he so wished to do that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here it's a test, of course, but it's to also demonstrate to us the level of the type of person that the Prophet ﷺ is. That even when he's expelled from the city, ridiculed, mocked, made fun of, hurt physically, hurt emotionally, hurt all of these types of things, yet he maintained a positive outlook. And then he said, وَإِنِّي لَأَرْجُو أَنْ يُخْرِجَ اللَّهُ مِنْ أَصْلَابِهِمْ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَحْدَهُ. He says, I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring from their loins a group of people who will believe in Allah alone. What's amazing is that this actually happened during the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. The incident of At-Ta'if happened about 2 years roughly, maybe 2.5 years before the Hijrah, before his migration to Medina. Maybe, roughly. Let's say 2 years, right? By the time he passed away, ﷺ, 10 years afterwards, so that's 12 years. In the year right before he passed away, ﷺ, a young boy comes from the delegation from At-Ta'if, right after they conquered Ta'if. After the conquest of Mecca, they conquered Ta'if, etc. And there was a young boy who was about 11 or 12 years old. And the young boy, he tells the Prophet ﷺ, make me the Imam of the people of At-Ta'if. Nobody in At-Ta'if knew enough Quran, or knew that much Quran, obviously, because it's a new place. And the Prophet wanted to designate an Imam, so he's looking. And then while he's looking for an Imam for the people, this young boy, 11 or 12 years old, Sabi, it says, In the hadith it says it's a young boy. He's pre-pubescent boy. And he comes to the Prophet ﷺ and he says, Ya Rasulullah, make me the Imam of the people of Al-Ta'if. And the Prophet ﷺ asks him, what do you have from the Quran? He says, I have this surah, I have that surah, I have this surah. And then he mentions, I have Surah Al-Baqarah. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Ama'aka Surah Al-Baqarah? You have Surah Al-Baqarah? And he says, Na'am. He says, Idhan anta imamuhum. Therefore, he says, Khalas, you're the Imam. Just based upon, and after he was mentioning those other surahs, the Prophet ﷺ was like listening, is like, But then after the boy mentioned that he had Surah Al-Baqarah memorized, the Prophet ﷺ, based upon that, he said, you are their Imam. And from this hadith, we actually take a lot of different rulings. One of them is that a young boy can actually lead congregational prayer, even if he's not an adult, which shows us that and then based upon this ruling, there's a lot of other things that we can actually deduct from Islamic law, but this is not the time for it. But the simple one is that a young boy actually can lead salah if they have enough Quran and if they can read the Quran well. And the Prophet ﷺ asked this young boy, and he said, I have Surah Al-Baqarah memorized, etc. Now if we look at the age of this boy was not born yet when the incident of Al-Ta'if happened, which means that the wish of the Prophet ﷺ, when he made dua, he says, Inni la arju, I hope upon Allah that He will bring about from their loins a generation that will worship Allah alone. Allah actually gave him that. Instead of destroying the city, he said, no, I hope that Allah will eventually guide them. So we should never burn down bridges with those who differ with us. We should never mock or ridicule them, etc. And if we fall into this, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. But rather we should pray that Allah guides them. We should always have a positive outlook. We should never write people off just because they disagree with us. We should never write people off because they have a different outlook, etc., etc. And we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He guides all of our loved ones, insha'Allah ta'ala. Because of this, there's a verse in the Quran that also talks about further positivity, because positivity, I think we would all agree, is not just a mindset, it is also proved in one's actions. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ لِيُهْلِكَ الْقُرَى بِظُلْمٍ وَأَهْلُهَا مُصْلِحُونَ. And your Lord would never destroy a city or a town while its people are muslihun. Muslihun means that they're trying to do good, they're trying to fix, they're trying to repair, which tells us that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deems that there are people who are trying to do some good, trying to fix some of the wrong, you know what I mean, if there's moral vice, if there's injustice going on, if there is, you know what I mean, oppression of the weak, oppression of the unfortunate, etc., and people are trying to speak up for this and trying to do justice and trying to help people, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never actually destroy a city. It is only when the people become apathetic and they write other people off and they don't do anything to help the community that they're in, at that point is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will actually destroy the towns. This is why there's a very famous hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says that Allah commanded Jibreel, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded Jibreel alayhi salam to destroy a town. And Jibreel said, Ya Allah, there is your servant so-and-so who lives in this town and he worships you. You still want me to, you know, he's asking, he's like, what about this guy? He doesn't understand. He's still going to destroy it because the angels cannot disobey Allah, but he's asking a question. This shows us that a lot of times we don't understand what's going on. And if we think that we understand, we're maybe fooling ourselves, right? The moment that we think that we know everything about a situation is the moment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show us that in fact we don't know as much as we think that we know. And this is why we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His guidance. So it says, فِي عَبْدُكَ فُلَانٍ, it has your servant so-and-so. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Jibreel, بِهِ فَابْدَأ, start with him. أعوذ billah. So he said, Jibreel is acknowledging this person worships Allah, and Allah did not deny this, but He says, you have to start with that guy. Why? Because he stopped enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, and he just kept to himself. He did not do anything else, meaning he wasn't trying to actually help those around him. He wasn't trying to do good in his community. He was just merely worshipping Allah by himself. Now what will happen to him on the Day of Judgment? This is of course between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he was a part of those who experienced the punishment in this life, meaning when Allah destroyed the town, he was the first person to be destroyed as well. That's why we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He not destroys our towns, nor does He include us in those who are destroyed or are tested in this way. Allahumma ameen. There is a verse in the Quran that we will mention in Surah Al-Nahl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا رَجُلَيْنِ أَحَدُهُمَا أَبْكَمُ لَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَى شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ كَلٌّ عَلَى مَوْلَاهُ أَيْنَمَا يُوَجِّههُ لا يأتي بخير هل يستوي هو ومن يأمر بالعدل وهو على صراط مستقيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks a rhetorical question, and it's an example, it's a simile, right, for us. It says that Allah provides an example of two men. One of them is abkam, meaning he cannot speak. He's mute. He cannot do anything. لا يقدر على شيء. And he is a burden upon his owner, or upon his mawla, meaning upon his family members, etc. So he doesn't know how to speak, and he is cannot really do anything. And then wherever he points him, لا يأتي بخير. Wherever his family member or whoever points him to, he does not do any good, right? So it's not only like there are people who they might be mute due to a handicap, they might not be able to do anything really in society, but they still do good. They're good contributors. But this person doesn't even do good, even if we try to, push them in the right direction. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, is this the same as the one who يأمر بالعدل, commands justice, right? Being fair. We always have to be fair. And he is upon the straight path. Of course, they're not the same. Not only this, but the person who commands justice, he has to do so because of a positivity. He doesn't say, oh, he just commands his way, and it's only his way, and he's always, making everything about himself, or he's very arrogant, or he's very whatever. All of these things, of course, are not good. This is why the word kal here means not only is he a burden, but he's like a negative person. You know what I mean? Like extremely lazy, does not do anything, cannot do anything on his own, etc., etc. These are all, of course, bad traits. And inshallah ta'ala will end with two more inshallah ta'ala examples, because I don't know how much time we started a little bit late due to technical difficulties, but we'll mention two. As always, I've over-prepared, but I'll just select two from these, inshallah ta'ala. There's a story of Sulaiman alayhi salam, right? And we can save some of these other ones for maybe another session about positivity. Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he came upon Wad al-Naml, the valley of the ants, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quotes an ant, one of the tiniest creatures. And Allah quotes the ant in what it said to its fellow ants in the colony, right, that it was living in, because of Sulaiman, of course, going there. And after the story, of course, he says, فَتَبَسَّمَ ضَحِكَ مِنْ قَوْلِهَا. Sulaiman, he smiled and he laughed at what an ant said. And then he was thankful to Allah that Allah taught him this speech and that he understood what the ant was trying to say. What did the ant say? Right? قَالَتْ نَمْلَةٌ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّمْلُ ادْخُلُوا مَسَاكِنَكُمْ. O ants, enter your homes. لَا يَحْطِمَنَّكُمْ سُلَيْمَانُ وَجُنُودُهُ. Do not, so that way Sulaiman and his soldiers do not destroy you, do not stomp on you, etc. وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. And they have no feeling, they don't even realize that they're destroying you. Sometimes bad things happen even to an ant. And the ant was making an excuse for Sulaiman. She wasn't blaming Sulaiman. She's not saying, oh, this is all your fault, Sulaiman. Sulaiman has no idea what you know what I mean? Him and his soldiers, they're just marching. They have a battle to wage. And sometimes, wallahi, we think about it. Sometimes we are this small little ant. This virus, the roles are switched. This virus that's happening, etc., etc. In reality, is like Sulaiman and his soldiers. It's just living its life. It's trying to replicate. It's trying to do all these things. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it because even if everybody in the world tries to harm us, they will not harm us unless Allah allows it, which means that Allah clearly allowed it to happen. So it's from Allah regardless of its actual true origin. It's always from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, the ant said, enter your homes. She's telling people, protect yourselves. Everybody go home. Kind of similar to what we're doing. Everybody go home, so that you're not affected by this while it doesn't even realize what's going on. That's it. She's making an excuse for the people. She's being very honest, but she's also trying to do good. So in these encouragements of trying to tell people, hey, stay at home, do the social distancing, washing your hands, etc., it's coming from a place of trying to do good. And that's a very good thing. And Allah, because of him loving what this one ant said so much, he made it part of our Quran that's going to be recited until the Day of Judgment, and that people should try to understand and memorize as well, inshaAllah ta'ala. Ultimately, the best positive attitude that a person can have is understanding the statement where the Prophet ﷺ quotes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where he says, أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنَّ عَبْدِي بِي, I am at the assumption of my servant. Meaning whatever he assumes of me, that's what I will be for him. If we assume that Allah is merciful, He will be merciful. If we assume that Allah is vengeful, He will be vengeful. If we assume that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful, He will be. He is powerful. He is all of these things. But He will be at the assumption that we make of Him in our own lives, because it will show kind of our outlook on our life. So if the person is generally positive in his life, Allah will be positive to him. And if the person is generally negative, Allah will be negative towards them. If we are always skeptical, we're doubting the words of others, we're doubting even those around us, the people that we love, our family members, we're doubting every word that they say, we don't trust them, we don't trust the people in our community, etc., then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not show us that trust either. But if we do show this, if we are accommodating, if we are understanding, we do have open minds, we're kind, etc., then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do the same to us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us a positive outlook. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us His mercy, that allows this time of ours right now that we are spending more at our homes to be a time in which we can get closer to Him Azza wa Jal. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes us among those who are able to apply all of this and become better, inshallah ta'ala, after this is over. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He protects all of the people that are at the front lines of fighting off this disease, whether they are our doctors, our healthcare workers, the nurses, the people that have to even endure like delivering groceries and whatnot. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He protects them all, and that He helps them, and that He assists them, and that He grants them His mercy, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps all the mothers in their homes, and all of the housewives and all the people that have to stay home who find it somewhat difficult, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us and guides us. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.